Hey everybody, Ken Carlson here with Country Guitar Chops. And what I'm going to show you on this lesson today is the funny thing, funny looking guitar headstock that I've got here, or the tuning peg. I get emails once in a while, folks asking me what it is, and yesterday I got two of them. So I thought, all right, let's explain what it is for those of you who don't know. It's a drop D system, and it is a banjo tuner. All it is. It's a locking banjo tuner. Let me try to get it down here in front of a different camera. There we go. You can see here, it's your typical, it looks like a typical banjo tuner, except I've got these two set screws here, locking set screws. And what they do is, I turn the knob up, tune it up. These will be loose, by the way. I'll tune it up to my E note, and then I'll tighten this one up, and then I'll tune it down to my D note, and then tighten this one up here. And what that allows me to do is just, right now I'm down to my D. Right back to my E. Okay, very fast, out of the way. When I say out of the way, I originally, years ago, bought a Hipshot with the lever on it, and the lever kind of pulls forward, so it can kind of hinder you a little bit. And also, what I didn't like about the Hipshot was when you flip the lever back up, so you're in a drop D, and then you flip it back up to the E. Let's say this is the E pitch, here's my D. It tended to settle in. It didn't settle back. It would always be sharp. And I'd have to bend this string, to pull it, bend it or pull it real quick to settle it back down into pitch. So I wound up, discovered these, and I don't know how I found out about them. A lot of guitar players use them. So Waylon Jennings used one for years. That's what, if you look on his guitar, you'll see he's got the same thing there. And I believe he had one on his E string too, top E string. So I really like them. The only drawback to these is that there are different diameters of the shank. There's two different brands, by the way, that I'm aware of. Shaler, which this is a Shaler that I've got on here. Originally, I bought some Shalers and put them on all my guitars. And Shalers come in two diameters that I'm aware of, a thinner shank and then a thicker shank. You want as thin a shank as possible. And then the other brand that I just bought one here a few years ago because I finally wore one out is the Keith, which was the original. Keith tuners were the original. And the Keith, I think, makes 4 different diameter shanks. Again, if you're going to get one of these, get the thinnest diameter shank you can. The reason is they're not, the gear ratio on them are not the same as what your typical tuners are. They're made for higher strings here. So it doesn't take much to turn them on our low E strings. It doesn't take much of a turn to really change the pitch. And it's hard to get them in tune, like if you play 10s with a 46 on the bottom. That was really hard for me to get those in tune. It's just too easy to go too high, pitch too high or too low. I played 9s at the time, and it was okay with a 9. Still a little tricky. And I play 9.5s now, so my low E is a 44. Versus a 10 gauge would be a 46, 9 gauge would be or a set of 9s would be a 42 on the bottom. I'm playing a 44. There again, it's kind of right in between. I'm still able to get them in the pitch, but it is a little hard. So again, you want to get the thinnest shank that they have. And again, I think Shaler only has 2 shanks, one larger, one smaller. I do some research on it. This was years ago that I bought them. They may have changed. But the Keith tuners, he has 4 different sizes. So you can call him up. I did when I ordered mine. I talked to, don't know if it was Keith or Bill, one of the two. And he helped me, let me know which one to get. So I'll show you what I mean by that diameter of the shank. In case you're confused by that, let me put this back down here again. Let that get in focus there. The shank is the diameter of this, not the head, but the, where the string wraps around right here. I don't know if you can see it or not. Probably not going to show up too well on the camera here, but this is much thicker than what this is. And this needs to be as thin as possible. Okay, and the reason for that is it allows you more room to, more spinning room, I guess, to help get it in tune. I guess I'll tell you what I did on the first tuner that I had too, because I had such a hard time with it. I don't remember how I did it, but I somehow disassembled a tuner enough to where I could put it on a lathe or I think it was just a drill press. So I got the shank turning, and I just stuck a file on there, and I ground that shank down myself. The shank comes at about a 3/16 of an inch thick in diameter. I think I ground it down to about 1/8 of an inch, and again that allowed me quite a bit more play for tuning. Another thing you have to do, by the way, I think the Keith tuners come with a large enough hole that you don't have to drill them out. But on my Shalers, the hole that you insert the string through before you wind it, you can't fit the guitar string through there. So I had to drill that out. I had to get a little drill bit, I wouldn't get it any larger than the string size you're going to play. So in other words, if you're playing 10s, just get the next size up from a 46 millimeter, and wallow it out. I say wallow, drill it out to that size. The reason being you don't want to go too big is because there's just not a lot of room on there. Okay, so that's what I use. That should answer the question for a lot of the guys. One more thing here. Let me show you about these. On the back side of the tuner, let me get in a position where you can see that a little better. You see this little screw right here. This is a thumb screw, and what I like about the Shalers, this is a Shaler. The thumb screw on the Shaler is a little larger than the screw on the Keiths, and I can turn this with my fingers to tighten it because they will work the way loose, and then the string don't want to stay in pitch. It'll kind of pull itself pull out of pitch. So, like I said, on the Keiths, they're a little smaller, and I got to use like a dime or something to tighten that up. These are large enough that I can crank on it with my finger. So, something I thought I'd share. And before I wrap it up, I might as well show you how it actually works. Let me loosen these up. Let's take that down here. Tune it up to my E pitch. I think I'm a little sharp. Again, they're pretty touchy. Pretty touchy. I'm just going to leave it there. We'll call that close enough, being I don't have a tuner in front of me. Okay. Now, I tightened up the one set screw. So if it's right there. Now I'm going to tune it down to my D. Okay. Now I'm going to lock the other one. Back to my E. Down to my D. That fast. All right, there you have it. Another point, once you get these locked, don't think you can reef on this. Don't try to overforce it. If you do, you're liable to strip the gears. I say strip. It's going to damage internally, which is, I think, how I finally wore the other one out. By cranking on it too hard, I think I messed up the internal parts in there. Of course, I had them 20, 25 years, so I can't complain about that. But it just doesn't take a lot. All right. See you in the next lesson.